you all know I'm a big wrestling fan. And lucky me, Edge is in studio. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, you?
I'm very well now.
Well, you're lucky that you had
A long career, and that you were there when WWE was probably at its mainstream sort of peak. So people, if they're not watching now, remember you from then.
Well, a lot of it too is I was doing it when people who are in power positions now were in college.
Yes.
You know,
you're right.
So they go, oh man, I remember when you did the thing with Christian, and you know,
It's so
they
funny.
They were, you know, getting drunk in college watching us. I was kind of like a young veteran. I ended up kind of in between eras in the respect that, you know, I'd be wrestling guys that I considered kids, but they were 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Or 5 years younger. It's like, but I've been there for at that point 13 years, and they've been there for 3. So it's.
How old were you when you got?
I signed when I was 23. I started when I was 17. So I started real early, and so that helped with that process. I was a veteran by the time I was 30.
Towards the end, though, like at the end of your career, the last year or so, most of the locker room were guys that weren't around when you had started. You know what I mean? Like that Attitude Era sort of generation, aside from, you know, your Big Shows or your Mark Henrys or whatever, kind of all gone, especially on a full-time basis. Did you realize, like, looking around the locker room, that, you know, even before the injuries started stacking up, that you were like, okay, there's a transition happening?
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's like I said, not even necessarily being that much older than them. I knew it was from a experience perspective and from a, you know, physically beat up perspective, I was much more aged.
Yeah.
You know, because you'd look around and go, okay, well, there's Kane, cool.
Yeah,
there's Big Show.
Him, yeah.
Oh, there's Mark Henry. All right, there's Christian. There's Taker. There's Hunter. And then
that's
it's
it.
like, whew.
Yeah.
Huh. There's a kid that probably was, you know, in grade 8 when I was starting, which doesn't make me that much older, but
because you were so young when you started. but
Are you relieved to not be wrestling anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Because, I mean, your style, you completely killed yourself. But you were able to kind of get out right before
it got
your body would just fail you. Yeah, before it got embarrassing.
It's a relief. It is, because, you know, I knew how I was feeling, you know, and I knew what, you know, how I'd wake up feeling in the morning, you know, and all of those things. So it made it easier, and it was a bit of relief. It's like, oh, okay.
And you had the doctor telling you.
Yeah.
The doctor said you can't do this at all.
At all.
And you said,
well,
I have no choice.
I got no choice in the matter. It's like, okay, well, what do you say?
Yeah.
No, I can. Well, okay, you may think you can, but you can't.
Right.
So.
And is this something that is a forever thing? Like, even doing the, you know, Edge comeback match?
No.
You can't do it because you might get paralyzed.
Yeah. And they wouldn't let me, you know, like, you know, well, if I'm going to show up, at least have me do something. No, you can't. All right, well, then don't have me show up.
Is that, yeah.
Because why bother? You know, it's like, and that's what's, you know, kind of really distanced myself even from watching the product too much. It's like, well, I can't do it. So it's.
Is it frustrating on one level too? Like, do you miss
not really
being out there, or you're good
I'm
with
good.
what you did?
I'm good, but if you want me to come back and cut a promo and all this stuff, it's like I can't really further stuff along too much because there's no physical payoff.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's going to get heat from attacking me because they're not allowed to attack me.
Right. So you can literally just talk.
Yeah. So
you can't even take like a manager bumper at all.
No, they won't let me. I think I could, but
But who did you want your last match to be against?
Christian.
You did. You wanted to, and were you looking towards this year WrestleMania?
I was looking toward trying to get to this year to wrestle him and have him retire me. Would be perfect.
So, but you don't have that thing in you like a lot of guys want to go out a certain way or want the story to end a certain way. You're like, that's it.
Well, and the way I look at it, it's like, okay, so I had to retire as world champion with my last match at WrestleMania.
I'll take it.
That's horrible. That sucks. What are you talking about?
You get to
awesome.
You get to retire on top without anybody saying he's a dick. He wanted to retire on top.
He wanted to win in his last match.
Yeah.
What an asshole. It's like, no,
I can't. What can I do, guys?
What do you want me to do? I'd put somebody over. I got no problem.
Take the belt with me.
When did you see the transition happening to becoming like the guy, like you're the main event guy? Was it during the John Cena feud?
Yeah, I think that's when it's like, okay, let's test the waters here, see what he's
Yeah.
got. And then I felt like I hit it out of the park. So I was like, okay, we can depend on him now.
Yeah.
And we can depend on him to lead SmackDown while, John leads Raw.
Yeah.
That's truly what it felt like.
It seemed like you were launched into superstardom on the heel sense when you did what had to be the most uncomfortable storyline with the whole Matt Hardy Lita thing. How uncomfortable was it to act out this thing that happened in your real life that you just wanted to, I would assume you just wanted to get away from.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to, I fucked up and let's move past it. And then they were like, no, everybody knows about it. This is too good. How uncomfortable?
Well, I understood it. From
Yeah.
a business standpoint, I always try and look at it from Vince's standpoint. It's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I put myself in this position, so, I only got myself to blame. So, all right, you reap what you sow. So, let's go sow it.
But were you able to get there? Yeah, yeah.
I guess.
Were you able to, I can understand that intellectually, but just as a human being, were you able to be there?
Yeah, I tried to commit to whatever I had to do on screen because that was the only way it was going to work, and it really did feel like it was, her and I against the world kind of thing. So that we felt that way, so it was easy to portray that on TV.
Yeah.
And
For those that don't know, there's a whole story on the internet. There was an affair, and Matt Hardy's girlfriend, and blah, blah, blah. They turned it into a storyline.
Yeah.
Just to bring everybody up to speed without,
Yeah, without assuming everyone knows the wrestling world. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I'd say that was probably, the most stressful point of my career from just a personally taxing standpoint. But yeah, I was like, okay, see it through, get past it. And really, my mindset was, we're here now, so I'm going to use this. And try and, if you want to, think you think you know me. If you think you know me, I'm going to use this to fuel, you want to hate me? I'll give you reasons.
Yeah. And it seemed like I always felt like it seemed like weathering that storm was what brought you over to the next level, where it was like, okay, let's try this out on a bigger level. And once you tried it out, you were there. I mean, probably, I've been to a couple WrestleManias live. And your match with Undertaker is my favorite live WrestleMania moment, just because it seemed everything just kind of came together. Like you were ready. Like I felt like you feel like that was a kind of a peak?
Yeah, that was my favorite, personal WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
Just to okay, we're closing out WrestleMania. I'm going against Undertaker.
And it was kind of like the whole you were on an upswing until there. Is he ready? Is he ready? Is he ready? And then it was like once you came out, it was like yes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's on that level.
I think before that they knew, or they wouldn't have put me in that position. I don't think you put someone in the last match against Undertaker unless you already know.
Just to try things out.
Yeah, I don't. That you're past the trying out point at that juncture. But for me, I was just like, okay, well, this is an affirmation of proving it throughout the years. It's like, okay, well, there's no doubt now. I'm in here against him, and he thinks I belong, and the guy who owns the company thinks I belong. It took a lot of proving, took a lot of diving through flaming tables, with chips on my shoulder and all those things. But that was a validation for me.
How do you feel about going into the Hall of Fame so young? I mean, normally I would think that you would envision this as like a 50-year-old self, doing that one day, and then they.
It's kind of cool in the respect that I look the same as I did last year, though. So it's like I don't have to worry about being the fat balding guy who's being inducted. It's like, ooh, he didn't age well.
Yeah.
It's like, as far as anybody's gonna know, all right. I don't know how he's gonna age because I'm not gonna be on the Hall of Fame when I'm 50. It's cool. I mean, it's a huge honor. Didn't expect it to be this year. Like I said, I expected to be wrestling this year. So.
Yeah.
But if you'd told me, at the beginning of my career that I'd be inducted, not even a year after having retired, and that I'd be retiring at 37 at that point, inducted by 38, with the Four Horsemen, there's no way.
So is your plan, once you start aging and looking different, to just disappear?
Yes.
So nobody knows. Just look at the magazines.
Yeah.
Finished.
Look at me fondly, okay? Because you probably won't see me a whole lot.
It's done.